Hey learners and dreamers! Do you want to get rich in knowledge and fluent in English at the same time? Then welcome to the English Storyteller. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful books ever written, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. But wait, we're not just summarizing a book. We're telling you a story in simple English, with real-life examples, conversations, and smart vocabulary you can actually use. So grab your chalk, sit back, and let's learn smart with stories that teach both money and language. Let's go!
Rich Dad Poor Dad Book Summary. Rich Dad Poor Dad contrasts the financial mindsets of two father figures in Robert Kiyosaki's life. Poor Dad, his biological father, was well-educated and valued job security and formal education. In contrast, Rich Dad was an entrepreneur who stressed financial education and making money work for you. Kiyosaki highlights that the core difference is how each man views work and money. The poor middle class work for money, while the wealthy have money work for them. Poor Dad preached getting a good job and salary, whereas Rich Dad taught acquiring income-generating assets and understanding financial principles: assets versus liabilities, cash flow, taxes, etc. This fundamental contrast underpins all the lessons below. Chapter 1: The Rich Don't Work for Money. Kiyosaki introduces the two dads and their opposing advice. Poor Dad worked hard for a steady paycheck but remained in debt. Rich Dad built wealth through businesses and investments, despite having only an 8th grade education. The lesson is that the rich focus on generating income through assets, rather than trading time for money. Specifically, mindset difference: Poor Dad believed in job security and rising pay earned income, while Rich Dad focused on acquiring assets that deliver cash flow. Kiyosaki summarizes: the rich don't work for money, the rich have money work for them. The poor middle class stay trapped in the rat race, working ever harder for pay raises, but they never get ahead. Financial IQ versus income. Rich Dad teaches that building a strong financial foundation is key, more important than simply earning a high salary. He uses games and examples to show how emotions like fear and greed control most people's money decisions. In contrast, Poor Dad's strategy, high-grade safe job, often ignores how wealth is really created. Key takeaway: develop financial literacy and passive income streams. Rather than accepting conventional advice, look for ways to make money work for you through dividends, rent, royalties, etc., so you can break free from depending solely on earned income. Chapter 2: Why teach financial literacy? This chapter stresses financial education. Kiyosaki argues that schools teach how to work for money but not how money works, leaving people financially illiterate. The lesson emphasizes understanding assets and liabilities, and controlling spending. Main points include: financial literacy is vital. Kiyosaki asserts that financial intelligence matters more than how much you earn. True wealth comes from knowledge, knowing how to analyze financial statements, taxes, and markets. Simply making more money or spending less isn't enough if you don't understand cash flow, assets, and liabilities. Assets versus liabilities. Rich Dad teaches that an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out. Importantly, your house can be a liability. In Kiyosaki's view, a personal residence often costs more mortgage, taxes, upkeep than it generates, so Rich Dad considers it a liability, whereas Poor Dad saw it as an asset. Developing the habit of acquiring true assets: investments, rental property, businesses, stocks, and avoiding liabilities: debt, oversized homes, cars, is a cornerstone lesson. Mindset over money. Rich Dad emphasizes that how you think about money is more important than how much you make. High income alone can't guarantee wealth if one's expenses and bad habits grow accordingly. The chapter reinforces that building a portfolio of cash-producing assets and controlling expenses is the path to wealth. Chapter 3: Mind Your Own Business. Kiyosaki encourages readers to treat themselves as a business, focus on building your own asset column, not just working for someone else's. Key lessons: build your asset column instead of solely climbing the corporate ladder. Allocate time to grow your own investments and side businesses. Mind your own business, Kiyosaki says, meaning devote effort to your financial. He cites Ray Kroc, McDonald's founder, who said he was in the real estate business, not the hamburger business, illustrating that real profit often comes from savvy asset acquisition. Employee versus owner mentality. Employees trade time for wages and incur taxes and debts, making others rich. The poor and middle class work for everyone but themselves, paying taxes on salary and accruing liabilities. In contrast, the rich invest in businesses, real estate, and intellectual property that generate cash flow independent of active work. The rich make money work for them by owning assets that earn every month, whether they're on the job or not. Assets and liabilities. Rich Dad defines assets as anything that brings in money, and liabilities as expenses. He reiterates that the wealthy acquire assets which may later buy luxuries, while the poor/middle classes often buy liabilities: cars, houses, toys that require work to pay for. Understanding and practicing this distinction is crucial. Chapter 4: The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. Kiyosaki explores how tax laws and corporate structures benefit the rich. The wealthy use corporations to protect income and pay less tax legally. Corporations versus paychecks. Rich people learn to operate through corporations, LLCs, S-corp, etc., which have lower tax rates and allow deductions. Poor and middle-class individuals pay taxes on nearly all their earned income, whereas corporations pay tax after expenses. They hide behind corporations, Rich Dad says, because corporate profits can grow while individuals minimize tax burdens. For example, the wealthy may pay themselves modest salaries taxed as personal income and take additional profits as tax-deductible benefits. Lower tax rates and deductions. The corporate tax rate is generally lower than individual rates, and corporations can write off expenses. Asset protection. Operating through legal entities also shields assets. Corporations limit personal liability and protect wealth from lawsuits. Kiyosaki notes that the rich often hide and control their wealth behind corporations, legally owning nothing personally while holding assets in corporate names. The takeaway: learning basic tax and corporate law. Financial intelligence is a powerful advantage for building and preserving wealth. Chapter 5: The Rich Invent Money. This lesson emphasizes creativity and financial intelligence. The rich invent money by spotting opportunities and using leverage, rather than just working harder. Financial creativity. Kiyosaki argues that truly wealthy people create money using ideas and networks. They don't passively accept wages, they actively generate profit through deals and investments. For example, he describes buying distressed properties cheaply and selling or leveraging them for cash, effectively inventing a profit that didn't exist before. Mindset of opportunity. Rich Dad taught Kiyosaki from a young age to see opportunities everywhere. By studying markets even under recessions and learning formulas, investment strategies that others ignore, the rich can bring new money into existence for themselves. As Kiyosaki puts it, the rich have the power to invent money through financial intelligence and creativity. They use money, time, and skill to create businesses and investments that yield ongoing returns. Using knowledge and leverage, the rich deploy leverage debt, other people's time, capital gains, and tax tactics to multiply their funds. Instead of relying on savings, they use financial knowledge to assemble cash-flowing assets, businesses, real estate, royalties. This chapter reinforces that wealth is an invention of the mind. By learning how money and markets work, anyone can learn to make money in new ways. Chapter 6: Work to Learn, Don't Work for Money. Kiyosaki advises using jobs and careers as learning opportunities. Instead of solely chasing pay, one should acquire skills that build long-term wealth. Important points. Skill over salary. Rich Dad recommends seeking work for the skills you will learn, not just the paycheck. Kiyosaki exemplifies this. He joined the Marines to learn leadership and management, then became a top salesperson at Xerox to master sales and marketing. In each case, he focused on acquiring expertise, risk-taking, people management, sales techniques rather than money alone. Management skills. Chapter 6 outlines 3 key business skills the rich must master: cash flow management, systems management, and people management. Effective investors and entrepreneurs understand how money flows through assets, cash flow, how to build reliable processes and systems in a business, and how to lead or delegate to others. Kiyosaki suggests rotating through different jobs or roles that develop these skills rather than staying in one narrow position. Long-term view. This mindset avoids the rat race trap. By continually learning new skills, especially in finance and business, you prepare to create or grow your own enterprise later. Rich Dad's lesson is clear: work to train yourself in relevant knowledge: accounting, investing, negotiating early on. In time, those skills will enable you to exit the corporate world and run your own money-making ventures. Chapter 7: Overcoming Obstacles. Kiyosaki identifies mental blocks that prevent people from applying what they know. He lists 5 major obstacles to wealth, all requiring the right mindset: fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. Highlights. Fear of loss. Fear, especially of losing money, is the biggest barrier. Rich Dad says the only way to overcome fear is through action and experience. He reminds Kiyosaki that all rich people have lost money at some point. They learn from it. In contrast, many poor people never invest at all because they're too afraid. Kiyosaki advises start early with small investments to build confidence and give time to recover from mistakes. Cynicism and naysayers, doubt and negative talk, what if thinking, paralyze beginners. The rich acknowledge risks but focus on solutions. Kiyosaki warns not to let the cynicism of others dictate your choices. Instead, research and plan carefully, but take smart risks based on opportunity, not on fear-driven assumptions. Laziness and bad habits. Busy work can masquerade as productivity. Rich people invest in self-education and assets first. Poor people pay bills first and then have little left to save or invest. Bad financial habits, like living paycheck to paycheck or overspending on liabilities, must be reversed. Kiyosaki advocates paying yourself first, automatically setting aside savings investments as a simple habit that builds wealth over time. Arrogance and ego. Believing you already know enough is dangerous. The rich stay humble learners. Overconfidence can prevent seeking advice or trying new strategies. Kiyosaki notes that arrogance can blind people to better approaches. Instead, stay curious and surround yourself with knowledgeable mentors. Chapter 8: Getting Started, Taking Action. This chapter gives a roadmap of concrete steps to begin building wealth. Kiyosaki lists 10 guidelines to awaken your financial genius. Key takeaways include: find a strong purpose, define powerful reasons, goals and fears that motivate you. Kiyosaki suggests writing down your wants, freedom, family security, and don'ts, debt, job insecurity, to fuel your drive. A compelling goal makes it easier to take risks and persist. Master strategies one at a time. Learn one financial formula or investment strategy thoroughly before moving on to the next. For example, become an expert in buying rental properties or stock analysis, then diversify. Avoid biting off more than you can chew initially. Pay yourself first. Treat savings/investment as a non-negotiable expense. Kiyosaki emphasizes putting money into investments or a business before paying bills, so you build your asset base consistently. Over time, your investments begin to pay you. Use assets to fund luxuries. Instead of buying luxury items that drain wealth, buy assets that later can afford those luxuries. For instance, invest in a rental property or small business that generates enough cash flow to cover a car payment or vacation. This reframes how you use income. Assets come first, pleasures follow. Seek mentors and networks. Choose friends and role models who inspire financial growth. Learn from people who have done what you aspire to do, even if it means simply taking them to lunch to ask questions. Teaching others what you learn also reinforces your own knowledge. Teach and you shall receive. Chapter 9: Still want more? Here are some to-dos. For readers eager to continue, Kiyosaki provides practical action items to put knowledge into practice. These reinforce previous lessons. Change unproductive habits. Stop doing what isn't working. As Kiyosaki notes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. Evaluate your current finances, identify poor money habits or investments that underperform, and pivot to new opportunities. This might mean cutting unnecessary expenses or ending a losing strategy. Learn by finding mentors, actively seek guidance. If you want to invest in, say, real estate or tax liens, find someone experienced in that area and learn from them. Kiyosaki recommends inviting such people to lunch and asking detailed questions. These conversations can reveal tricks and prevent rookie mistakes. Education and networking. Continue expanding your financial IQ. Take courses, read books beyond your comfort zone, and attend seminars. Kiyosaki himself frequently buys obscure how-to books on unfamiliar formulas to spark ideas. Building a network of like-minded learners and professionals will expose you to fresh perspectives and opportunities. Take calculated action, move from theory to practice. Even small steps, opening a brokerage account, starting a side business, or attending an investment club, build momentum. The key is to keep taking action, invest time and some capital, learn from the outcomes, and reinvest your gains. Chapter 10, I Still Want More. Conclusion. In the final chapter, Kiyosaki reiterates the importance of continuing the journey. He urges readers to stay disciplined and view financial education as lifelong. Kiyosaki emphasizes using every dollar wisely, invest extra cash into assets so that, over time, those investments pay all your expenses. Embrace continuous learning. True financial freedom requires ongoing learning and adaptation. Rich people never stop studying markets, taxes, and opportunities. Kiyosaki advises, keep learning and expanding your financial knowledge. By regularly educating yourself and applying new lessons, you stay ahead of changes in the economy and uncover new ways to grow wealth. Persistence and mindset. Building wealth takes time, patience, and persistence. The book closes by underscoring that all the steps outlined must be practiced habitually. Maintain a long-term perspective, stay focused on your goals, and remember that overcoming fear and taking action are as important as knowledge itself. In short, use financial intelligence every day to make money work for you. Throughout Rich Dad Poor Dad, Kiyosaki's central principles are repeated. Know the difference between assets and liabilities, invest in income-generating assets, cultivate financial education, and think like an entrepreneur. By contrasting Rich Dad's advice with Poor Dad's, the book drives home that a wealth-building mindset, not just a high salary, leads to financial freedom. Key takeaways across all chapters. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes money out. Focus on acquiring assets, investments, businesses, real estate, and minimizing liabilities, unnecessary debt, expensive purchases. Financial education is crucial. Learn accounting and tax basics so you can make informed decisions. Don't rely on schools or employers to teach you this. Instead, self-educate through books, seminars, and mentors. Think like a business owner in every job, always look for ways to add value and learn new skills. Use corporations and legal entities as tools to protect and leverage your money. Understanding tax laws and business structures can save you significant money and reduce risk. Action and attitude beat fear. Continuously take steps, even small ones, toward investing and building assets, and overcome common psychological blocks like fear of loss or procrastination. Stay persistent and keep learning. By following the lessons of Rich Dad, focusing on assets, education, and smart risk-taking, readers can escape the rat race and work toward true.
So, what did we learn today? The rich don't work for money, they make money work for them. And you? You're learning how to think rich. In English. If you enjoyed this story and learned something new, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the English Storyteller. More powerful stories, smart vocabulary, and fun learning are coming your way every week. And remember, the best investment you can make is in yourself. See you in the next story. Until then, stay curious, stay learning.